G'day guys, my name is CJ. Hope everyone is keeping well and having a great day. Now, EDC or everyday carry is more than just your keys, phone, or wallet. It's a movement, and people take it very seriously. I'm somewhere in the middle of this spectrum, but I am always on the lookout for that next accessory that'll not only make my life easier, but look good doing so. Now, I've recently gotten my hands on a new product from Exter, a brand that's no stranger to the EDC market with their smart wallets, and in fact I've made a few videos of those before, so check them out if you haven't already. And in actual fact, I've backed them quite a few times on Kickstarter because I've consistently been a fan of what they make. This time round, it's a key holder with a tracking unit. There's plenty of options out there already, and I've long been a faithful Orbit Key user for its build quality and simple design, and up until now is still my choice for the best key organizer out there. But what drew me to the Exter key holder is in its small footprint and its pretty utilitarian looks. So just how does this Exter key holder compare to other competitors in the market? Let's unbox it and take a look. Now straight away, the first thing you'll notice is that it comes in an incredibly small package. They've pushed the environmental message, and it's really nice to see that they haven't used any unnecessary packaging. Because honestly, once you're in it, there's not much to the holder at all. Inside the box is a how-to guide, you've got the key holder itself, and a magnetic quick release ring that we're going to talk about a little bit later. But that's it. The one I chose was the matte black version, and it feels super premium thanks to its brushed stainless steel design. It feels like it can take a beating. You can also grab one in space grey if you like, but I much prefer the stealthy look of the black. Now the interesting thing here is that in its design and construction is divided into a bunch of separate parts. First of all, and a massive plus compared to the Orbit Key, is that it's all toolless. There's a thumb adjustable steel screw in the top, which then connects to a slider bolt, and that holds the two arms together. And then to really add as a glue, there's anti-slip teeth sitting on either of the arms. Now at first it does take a little bit of yanking to pull them apart, just shows you how solid it is, but it raises questions about how long these teeth would last before they wear out. Fortunately, I imagine most people won't really frequently change their keys all that much anyway, so it's probably a non-issue. And then Exter also included some silicone washers to sit between the keys, but then I've been using the Orbit key holder without any washers for years, and I haven't really run into any problems. Where I can see this being useful is if you've got anodized coloured coatings on your keys, in which case, yeah, it would be good to protect the colour. But using these washers will fill up the holder pretty quickly, so if you've got a lot of keys, you're going to want to use them without. Exter says the holder should be able to fit between 3 to 8 keys, and to have 8 keys, you'll definitely want to leave them off. And honestly, in the couple of weeks that I've been using them, I haven't used the washers at all, and it's been perfectly fine. Not to mention, sits a little bit more compact as well. Now, it'll take a little bit of fiddling around to determine what's the best configuration for you, because everyone will be a little bit different with different keys, different situations. So my advice would be to just to play around with it and see what looks and feels right. But for me, what worked best, and probably for most people, is to go from what has the largest footprint all the way to the smallest, say from the tracker all the way down to something like a SIM ejector tool. Gotta have one of those on you at all times. That way, it's easy enough to really see and then choose what I need. Now, if you've got the tracker, you'll definitely want it facing out, and for appearance sake, maybe on the same side as the Exter logo itself, and if only so you can have good access to the function button on the tracker. So comparing this to the Orbit Key, it'll have a similar footprint because, well, they're keys, and they're held together in effectively the same way, in a sort of Swiss Army knife configuration. The one difference is that the Orbit Key shields the key from view with its strap, and so some might consider that a cleaner design, and I think I'm inclined to agree. I mean, that's not to say the Exter doesn't look nice, because the simplistic design does make it look very utilitarian, and I do like that, but I do think this look is mainly helped by the fact that there's a matching tracker on the outside. I think if you didn't have that, the holder would look quite a lot less elegant in my view. Not terrible, but it's not going to win any contests with its looks. The other thing to note is that unlike the Orbit Key, you can't really spin your keys around 360 because you've got these arms that get in the way. So you're best making sure the heads of the keys are smaller and round to avoid catching like mine, so they've got the most amount of range. The Orbit Key doesn't have an extra bit on the top, so keys are free to go round and round and round till the cows come home. And thanks to this, getting a key out is just a little bit clumsier with the Exter. But what I will say though is that once you've got your key in position, it does turn with a bit more confidence and solidity, because one, it's one whole stainless steel unit holding the keys together, and then two, the screw right at the top of the arms acts as a bit of an anchor point for your fingers to give you a better grip. So that's nice. Now on the top, it also comes with a magnetic ring holder, so you can attach it to other things like a car key, a garage fob, or even hanging it from maybe your belt rings for easy access. The quick release design of the ring makes it super easy to slip things on and off, and overall is built like a tank, like the holder itself, from stainless steel. So much so that you often find residue of things rubbing off on it rather than the other way around, so you can feel confident it'll still look good despite being thrown around with other dangly bits. Wait, that doesn't sound quite right. That being said though, it has already gained a scuff or two, so it's not as scratch proof as you might think, but it'll still take a beating, no problems. And if you do grab one of these, definitely think about grabbing the tracker as well. Now of course, trackers aren't exactly a new phenomenon, in fact, they're everywhere. And Chipolo, like Tile, have partnerships with a whole bunch of other EDC companies, and this includes OrbitKey themselves, and of course, Exter. The main difference here is that the Exter version has an integrated LED light, which doesn't sound like much on the surface, but having used it for a couple of weeks, it's a bit of an underrated addition. It retails for $39 US, or roughly 53 to 4 Australian dollars full price, compared to roughly $35 US or 49 Australian dollars for the tracker from OrbitKey, but that doesn't have an LED. Now sure, there's probably only a handful of moments where this will be useful, but it's at least nifty when you need it. And that's typically going to be in nighttime situations when you're trying to find the lock. Maybe you've come home from a dinner or on a night out, and it's oriented in the direction of the lock, so there's no more literal stabs in the dark. But that's as useful as it probably gets, because the LED itself isn't bright enough to be used as a torch in general scenarios. It also runs on coin battery power too, so even if it does run out of juice, you can quickly switch it out and you can pick them up from hardware stores like Bunnings in Australia or Home Depot in the States. And the whole process of switching them out is all toolless, which is great. Now it uses Bluetooth to connect to your phone, which then shows you when it was last connected through the app. And it's here you can trigger the sound alert if you've lost your keys, and you can use the tracker itself to trigger an alert on your phone if you've lost that instead, simply by squeezing the button. But that brings me on to, which is probably the worst component on the tracker itself, which is the button. Now I've used Exter's other tracker cards before. They've got function buttons as well, and they give off a satisfying click with a simple squeeze. Here on the key tracker, there's no convincing tactile feedback or click, so you're never really confident that you've pressed the button properly. And it also means not knowing if you've pressed it hard enough to trigger the torch or even the tracking function. Most of the time, I just end up squeezing it as hard as possible and hoping for the best, which doesn't translate into a great experience. I mean, it works for sure, but it certainly could be better. Now, it can also double up as a camera remote too, which is cool and all, but you do have to use the Chipolo app to do this, and that isn't cool. And even after using and testing multiple Chipolo trackers, I almost never use this function outside of playing around with it when I first take it out of the box. But that's basically it. The Exter key holder starts at $39 US or 53 to 54 Australian dollars just for the holder, and you can get a discount if you bundle in the tracker. Compared to the starting point of an OrbitKey Active at around 33 Australian dollars or 25 US dollars up to almost 45 for a premium leather version, they're definitely competitive, with the Exter costing just a little bit more. But in the end, all it really comes down to is what you like and what your tastes are. If you're more into the utilitarian industrial look, then the Exter is for you. But if you like a more cleaner design with more design choices, then have a look at the OrbitKey. For me, I still prefer the OrbitKey purely because it looks a bit cleaner and there's a bit more variety, but this is still a great option, and Exter's tracker will certainly be a new addition to my EDC for sure, thanks to the LED. Links for everything that I've spoken about will be in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys. What do you guys think of the Exter key holder? Do you prefer this, or do you just rather stick with something like the OrbitKey instead? Let me know in the comments section below. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Give us a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and ding the bell icon so you don't miss out. As always, stay safe, guys, and say good day to your mum for me. Cheers.